So my name is Latoya Jones. I'm the Dwight B. Eisenhower Transportation Fellowship Program Manager for the Federal Highway Administration. And I'm here today to talk about student and recent graduate opportunities. So hopefully I made Ms. Mackey proud with my introduction because she said you need to have a good intro. So hopefully I made you proud. And then Dr. Vasquez, I hope I'm making you proud because I'm going to talk about student, fellowships and grants, as well as jobs. So to help address the budget and finance issues. So I will get started. So I'm not going to talk a lot about the overview of Federal Highway Administration, but we do support state and local governments in the design, construction, and maintenance of federal aid highways across the nation, as well as some federally and tribally owned highways as well. We employ approximately 2,700 employees, and we're growing, especially with our latest reauthorization, the bipartisan infrastructure law. We are definitely hiring. We have an office in every state. So our division offices, which are our federal aid division offices, are typically located in the capital of the state. And located along with where the state DOT is, because that's our major partner and recipient of our federal dollars. And of course, we're headquartered in Washington, D.C. I just wanted to put this up here because you all are students and looking for jobs. And I know a lot of you are engineering majors and business. And so I wanted to talk about the top 10 occupations in federal highway. And back, when we were building the interstate in the 1950s, of course, 99% of our agency was engineers. But things are changing now. I mean, I'm not an engineer. I entered Federal Highway as a community planner. And I always tell engineers that before you can design something, we have to plan for it. And we have to, run the travel demand model and determine that there is a need. So just wanted to list here, we still have a lot of civil engineers, transportation specialists. And these are typically folks that are overseeing a particular program like discretionary grant programs, program management. More of an internal position. Financial administration is huge now. Management and program analysis, administration, community planning, environmental protection specialist, engineering technical. And when we say engineering technical, it's kind of like our structural engineers, as well as contractors. And so now to the good stuff. So I want to talk about entry-level programs as well as some student programs throughout the agency. So here on the screen I'm going to touch on our Pathways Internship Program. And this particular internship program is for high school to graduate level students to sort of, have an opportunity to work with Federal Highway and maybe even convert to a permanent employee. So I'll talk a little bit about that. I'll talk about our Summer Transportation Internship Program for diverse groups. We call it STIPDIG. This is one of the programs that I came in on. When I was in grad school, I was a HUD fellow, so I just knew I was going to work for the Department of Housing and Urban Development. That was my dream. But my professor came to me and said, hey, there's an internship opportunity with the Federal Highway Administration. I was like, what is the Federal Highway Administration? They're like, there's a Summer Transportation Internship Program. Well, they will, place you, anywhere in the United States. They'll pay for your housing because I was already paying rent where I was in school in Huntsville. And so they'll pay for your housing and give you a stipend. And I'm like, okay, where do I sign up? It's just 10 weeks. I'll give it a try. And I did that. And after that summer transportation internship, my goal was to work with Federal Highway. I really enjoyed working for the agency. And without telling my age, I've been there 20 years now. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. And then our professional development program, which is another program that I came in on. I'm going to talk about that entry-level program, and that's for students that have graduated, and it's a recent grad program. So we want students that have at least graduated within 2 years, or if you're a veteran, 6 years. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. And then the last program, of course, that I'm passionate about is the program I manage, which is the Dwight David Eisenhower Transportation Fellowship Program. In this program, of course, we provide grants to students that are majoring in a transportation-related discipline. All right, so first I'll talk about Pathways. And so the Pathways Internship Program is designed to provide students enrolled in a wide variety of educational institutions, that again, from high school to graduate level, the opportunity to explore working with federal agencies while still in school and getting paid for the work that you're performing. And if you do an awesome job, you students who successfully complete the program are eligible for conversion to a permanent position. And we've had so many folks within even human resources where I work right now that were pathways interns in school and then have since been converted to federal employees. And if you know anything about applying for federal jobs, it is definitely a process, and it can be difficult. It took me some time, even as a stip dig. Before I joined Federal Highway, I started working for the city of Pensacola in Florida, just waiting for the opportunity, but finally was able to get in. So if you're able to get in a program like this, and you do such a good job, it's very easy to convert without having to apply from the outside. So eligibility. So you have to be enrolled or accepted at least half-time in any one of these qualifying educational institutions. So high school, vocational technical school, undergraduate, graduate, and then professional as well. Prospective candidates, you must be a U.S. citizen. You must maintain a good academic standing. So if you're an undergrad student, at least a 2.5 on a 4.0 scale. And then if you are a graduate student, at least a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale. And of course, you must be at least 16 years of age. You may be hired on a temporary basis for up to 1 year, or it can be an indefinite period. It really just depends on the announcement. You may work full-time or part-time. A lot of our students that are in school are part-time pathways, of course. And then you may be non-competitively converted to a permanent or term, and term is a 1 to 4 year position if the program requirements are met. And so where can you find these opportunities? I'm glad you asked. So interested candidates can go to usajobs.gov, and that's where all federal jobs are posted. And so you can search, and I don't think we have any opportunities last I checked for pathways right now. But if you search like FHWA internship program or pathways, it will pull up any openings that we have. You must submit a complete package by midnight Eastern Standard Time of the closing date. And that includes, the resume, vacancy questions, and any supporting documents they ask for, which more than likely will be a transcript. So we have an inbox that will take you directly to our Pathways Program Coordinator. I have business cards. I'm happy to, connect you as well if you're interested, but that's the email address to our Pathways Coordinator. So I guess I'll stop there to see if there are any questions about Pathways before I jump to our next program, which is our STIP deal. Yes, sir.
So is the Pathways application closed now?
So this particular one, it kind of just depends on when. There's no open close period, just depending on when there's an opportunity. So we don't have any at this time. Back in January when I looked, we did have some openings for Pathways. So it's throughout the years rolling. It just depends. So that's why it's good to, if you go to USA Jobs, I think you can set up alerts and be alerted when something is posted, or even connect with us if you're happy to, let you know if anything happens. But to my knowledge right now, we don't have any pathway opportunities out there because I did check today stuff. You're welcome. Any other questions? All right. So now let's talk about STIP digging. This program is near and dear to my heart again because this is what kind of introduced me to Federal Highway, and I think why I'm standing here today and while I'm still with this agency. Again, it stands for Summer Transportation Internship Program for Diverse Groups, but I will call it STIP dig because it's such a long title, and we're also good with acronyms in the federal government as well. So, all right, so a little bit about the program, an overview and the purpose. So the STIP dig is a paid internship program that provides students with opportunities to gain valuable professional experience and skills that will complement their academic pursuits. And so when you apply, and I'll talk a little bit more about the application cycle and the process, you'll put down what your major is and what your interests are. And so they'll try to pair you with a mentor or coach along those same lines. And so again, I was getting my master's in urban planning. So of course I was interested in planning. So they paired me with the planning team leader in Louisiana. So they moved me from Huntsville to Louisiana, put me in a nice condo. I got paid every 2 weeks, and I got a great experience with the planning team leader there in Louisiana. So they'll pair you based on your interest in your application and or your major. And of course, the vision of the program is just designed to mentor and cultivate tomorrow's leaders, because you all are tomorrow's leaders, and strengthen their understanding of the transportation industry and prepare you for future public service opportunities. So key points, this program is now facilitated by a contractor, the Washington Center. And just to give you an idea, our application process has already closed for this year, but I'm still going to include the dates and walk you through it because we essentially keep the same timeline every year. We typically do offer 100 internships annually. And so for our 2023 dates, which again, the application has already closed, but it will be the same sort of time next year. Interns will typically start on the first Monday in June. So this year is June 5th, and then you'll wrap on August the 11th, and you'll go to DC and present your research at headquarters. That's part of the program. So it'll typically be the same time frame next year as well. Again, it's a 10-week program. Positions are available all across agencies within DOT. I was, able to work with Federal Highway, but we have brought in some SIPDIGs that are working with OST, the Office of the Secretary of Transportation, Federal Transit Administration, Federal Railroad Administration. It really just depends on mentors and coaches' ability to, work with the students. I was actually a SIPDIG mentor last year to a student, so it really just depends on the timing and your interest on how they pair you and where you will be placed. You don't get to pick. I thought I would get to pick as well. Years ago, I was like, oh, I think it'll be cool to go here. And I got Louisiana, and I was like, okay, well, I guess so. They're paying for it. So, you don't get to pick your location, but it's a great experience and it's paid for. So again, it's like embracing those opportunities that Dr. Vasquez talked about earlier. It's cross-disciplinary, so it's, I went in as a planner, but I was able to, my mentor wanted me to see sort of what other folks in our offices were doing. So I was able to go out with the bridge engineer and go out with our environmental specialist and just see how all of the pieces of the puzzle work together in a Fed Aid office. You're paired with a mentor, you receive a stipend, paid travel, and housing, and participation is not considered federal government employment for this one, unlike the Pathways program. All right, so key dates, and again, I only have these up here so that you can see it's pretty much the same timeline every year. So next year, the applications will probably close on January 31st, 2024. I think they open in December. We typically do interviews February and March. And then you notify candidates March and April, that you were selected. This is where you will be going. Your internship will probably start the first Monday of June in 2024, whenever that is. And then will end around the same time frame. So this just gives you an idea, if you are interested in the program, kind of what the timeline will be, again, for the next cycle. All right, are you eligible? So here are the eligibility requirements. So you must be a U.S. citizen, and dual citizens are also eligible. You must be currently enrolled in a degree granting program of study at an accredited institution of higher ed in the U.S. You have to have at least a 3.0 GPA or higher. Be a junior or senior for the upcoming fall semester if you are an undergrad student. Undergrad applicants from junior, tribal, or community colleges must have at least completed their first year if they're interested in the SIPDIG. You must be enrolled for the fall semester if you are a grad student, and then law applicants must be entering their second or third year of law school. And so here is just the link, and I know that they're going to share this to the application on the Washington Center's website. And so you'll have to complete an application next year when it opens. If you're interested, you need a copy of your transcript, just so you'll know, at least one reference, your resume, and then they'll ask for a writing sample as well. And so, as with our pathways, we have a STIPDIG coordinator, and that's the email address, and I know you'll get a copy of this. You can also reach out to me. Again, no opportunities this year because it's already closed, but please be on the lookout for next year if you are interested. Any questions about STIPDIG? It's a great program. And you get paid. Okay? All right, so the next one, professional development program. This is also a program that I came through. It's also a great program. So this is one of those programs, once you finish school and you're ready to enter the workforce. It's a 24-month program, depending on, or it could be 36 months. I'll get into it. So let's talk about it. So it's a career development program for entry-level hires. And if you are a structural engineer, it is 36 months. It's a little bit longer. And these are the disciplines that we bring in students or for the PDP program. So either finance, realty, planning, civil rights, environmental, or civil engineering. All right, and the program has 3 components over the 24 to 36 months, depending on, what your discipline is. So on-the-job training is, once you are hired as a PDP, they will give you your host office. A lot of times you don't get to select. It's kind of, where there's a need, but this is your host office for 24 months. This is your coach, and you'll get on-the-job training there. You and your coach will work together because you are giving a budget. It's probably a different budget now than when I was in the program, but you're given a budget, a travel budget for developmental assignments. And the purpose of those developmental assignments is to sort of help you to understand your role when you are placed in a permanent position after the 2 years. So you'll work with your coach on what your vision is when you complete the program. And you all will come up with, developmental assignments that are paid for. So like for me, I was based out of Georgia and talking with my coach. Of course, I think it's always great for PDPs to go through headquarters. So I was in DC for 4 months, again, paid for, at least housing and food paid for because I was still paying rent in Atlanta. So that's great about the program. But I was able to work in DC and understand how our headquarters office works, which I work for now, which is a little different from the Fed Aid office, but it was a good experience. I also was able to work with our partners. So I moved down to Florida, to Tallahassee for 3 months, and I worked with Florida DOT, and I worked with their travel demand modeling and highway performance monitoring system group because that was going to be one of my responsibilities in the division office, and I wanted a better understanding of that. And my coach and I worked it out where I was able to go down to Tallahassee for 3 months. And then my last assignment, which I wasn't happy about because I was in my comfortable box. I'm from the South, so I'm like Alabama, Georgia, Florida, I'm comfortable. And DC is okay. But my boss was like, you're going to New York City. And I was like, as long as it's not the winter, I go. So that was one of my more expensive assignments. But those assignments helped to, help me better understand my role. Once my 24 months was up, I'm not technically responsible. So I'm shadowing someone. So I'm not like on the hook. So great experience. And at the end of those 24 months, you're placed where there's a need. So you got to hope that, the program really does try to place you close to your desired location, but it's always not guaranteed, which is why you sign a mobility agreement. And the last thing for the program is there are academies. We have a leadership skills academy. Something big now that we're focusing on in Federal Highway 2 is just emotional intelligence and self-awareness. So there's a leadership skills academy that focuses on that for a week. We also have Federal Aid 101 program highway funding, and you need that to understand how we get our funds from the reauthorization bill down to apportionments and how they're calculated across the 8 programs and even divided up amongst the states. So that's sort of what the program looks like over the 24 to 36 months. And here's just a picture of our 2022 PDPs at the Leadership Skills Academy, and I think they're in Washington, D.C. All right, so an overview. Positions are typically filled at the GS-7-9 level. And what determines that? If you have an undergraduate degree, you'll enter at the GS-7 level. If you have a graduate degree, whether it's master's or PhD, at the GS-9 level. And then you have promotion potential to a GS-12 after the 24 to 36 months, of course, as long as you have performed satisfactorily. Relocation expenses are covered on both ends. So if you're joining the program new and you live in Texas and you're going to be going to, the state of Washington, Federal Highway will cover your relocation expenses there for 24 months. When you complete the program after the end of the 24 months and they say, well, you're now going to be moving to Virginia, Federal Highway will cover your relocation expenses from Washington to your final placement in Virginia. Yes. General salary. So that's how all federal employees are paid, and it's from GS 1 to 15. So you can actually Google and look up what the salary is, and it's also based on locality. So there's the just base table, and then depending on where you're located, then there's a locality pay table because there are adjustments. Of course, it's way more expensive to live in Washington, D.C. than it is in Alabama. So there'll be an adjustment on the pay scale for that even grade in that state.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
One question.
Yes.
I just want to know what's the general salary for it? Or you said look that up, right?
Yeah, you can look like if you complete the program, if you go through the PDP and complete the program, you're more than likely to be a GS-12. And so you can Google right now, GS-12. You'll see the base scale, but then depending on where you are, it could be more or less.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's a question.
Yes.
Some governmental agencies have moved to having a separate scale for their technical hirees. Is Federal Highway Administration doing something similar?
Not right now.
Okay.
So we are all on the GS scale, and then of course we have our SES folks. But yeah, some agencies are different. Like FAA is different, but Federal Highway right now, it's the GS scale regardless. Any other questions? All right, so you're assigned a coach. I mentioned that to guide you through your program, and that coach ends up being a mentor and someone that you will keep in contact for years. My coach has since retired, but I keep in contact with him. He's in Jacksonville, Florida, so I know what's going on with him and his family. So he's a coach, but also that person, he or she can also serve as a mentor as well. And again, after a successful completion of the program, you will occupy one of the vacancies without competition. All right, so eligibility, you must be a recent grad. So I mentioned this, up to 2 years for non-veterans and up to 6 years for veterans. Or you can be graduating the upcoming semester. You have to be a U.S. citizen. You have to have attended an accredited institution of higher ed, undergrad or grad. You have to have at least preferred a 3.0 GPA. Be willing to relocate at the start, during, because those developmental assignments, and then after successful completion. But again, the program really does try to work and make everyone happy as much as they can. When you complete the program, you also have to be willing to serve the agency for at least 2 years because the agency has invested a lot in you for training and money. So, they ask for 2 years at least to stay on board with us. How do you apply? Again, all of our vacancies are on usajobs.gov. You upload a resume, of course, have your transcript ready. You'll search for opportunities, look for the recent grad icon and set up notifications. I did talk to the PDP coordinator before I got here. We don't have any positions right now, but she will be posting in, I think, 4 disciplines because we just closed the community planner, March, April, and May. So you will see some opportunities on USA Jobs for the PDP program in March, April, and May. I don't have the exact dates, but she did say that she would be posting for PDPs then. So I included the site for the PDP program just so that you can get more information and overview. And then also, as with all of our programs, we have an inbox. So if you have any questions, you can also email that inbox. Any questions? Am I doing okay on time? Because I know I'm standing in between you and lunch, and so I want to make sure. Okay. All right. So last one, and I'm done, and it's my program. The Dwight David Eisenhower Transportation Fellowship Program, which I will refer to as DDETFP, just because it's a super long title. And so let's talk a little bit about the DDETFP. This program has been around since 1983. It's a USDOT program, but it is managed by the Federal Highway Administration. And really the purpose of this program is to provide funding for students that are pursuing transportation-related degrees and conducting transportation-related research. Over the course of the DDETFP, we've awarded thousands of fellowships to enterprise and students across the nation. But on an annual basis, based on the availability of funding, and this has been true if you go back, we typically award approximately 200 grants per year for the DDETFP. And the objectives of the program really are to attract the nation's brightest minds to transportation and just retain top talent in the U.S. transportation industry. And I will just say that every year, especially at TRB, which is the Transportation Research Board meeting in DC, every year that I am there, I am constantly running into and meeting people that were DDE-TFP fellows from 1990 or from 1985 and that have still stuck around in the transportation industry. Maybe not public sector, it could be private sector, it could be research, but this program really does work. And I think it's such an awesome program and an awesome opportunity. So I hope that, I know some of you have probably heard of it. I see a DDE-TFP fellow in the audience, but if you haven't, I strongly encourage you to apply for this program. Again, you don't have to pay it back. It's a grant. So we like that, right? So within DDE-TFP, we have 3 categories. We have our graduate fellowship, which is geared towards those students that are master's and or PhD students, majoring in a transportation related discipline. Then we have our local competition fellowship, and this particular fellowship is for students that are attending minority serving institutions such as our HBCUs, HSIs, APIs, community colleges, to apply for the fellowship. And we call it local competition because students are competing amongst students on their campuses and not nationwide. For our graduate fellowship, this is a nationwide competition. And then the last one is our Grants for Research Fellowship. And this is where program offices within DOT come up with research topics and funding. And then we post to grants.gov and students apply and they get paid to do that research. So I'll talk a little bit more about each of these. So our graduate fellowship, the objective is to provide funding for students that are pursuing a master's or doctorate in a transportation-related discipline. Students apply directly to us via a notice of funding opportunity on grants.gov. I have a NOFO, notice of funding opportunity, right now posted for the grad fellowship. So if any of you in the room, which the majority of you undergrad students, okay. But for grad students, or even if you are a graduating senior and you're pretty much confirmed, I'm going to grad school and I have my letter, you are eligible to apply for the graduate fellowship. It's posted to grants.gov. It closes on April the 7th. So if you know someone that maybe does meet the criteria, please share, because that is out on the streets. So in order to qualify for the grad fellowship, you must possess a bachelor's of science degree or be a confirmed graduating senior within an institution of higher ed in the U.S. You must, of course, show us confirmation of acceptance in an advanced degree program, because again, master's or PhD. You have to be pursuing this degree full time, and then conducting ongoing research in one or more transportation related disciplines. We convene a national panel because we have master's and PhD students, so we divide the applicants up because we want to compare apples to apples. So we have a panel that just reviews master's applications, and we have a panel that just reviews our doctoral applications. Once that evaluation takes place, because these are merit-based awards, then we assign the fellowships. And so we have them in tiers. And so that's why you see a range here. The award range is anywhere from $5,000 to $35,500, depending on how the panel evaluates you. So if you're a tier 1 PhD student, you're going to get $35,500 for that year. If you're a tier 1 master's student, you'll get $31,500. Our tier 2 students across the board get $10K, and our tier 3 students get $5K. So just to give you an idea of what the numbers look like. Our local competition, the purpose of this program is to encourage institutions of higher ed. So for our grad fellowship, eligible applicants are students. That's it. For our local competition fellowship, for the notice of funding opportunity, eligible applicants are institutions of higher ed that meet that definition of minority serving institutions. So historically Black colleges and universities, Hispanic serving institutions, tribal colleges, Asian and Pacific Islanders, as well as community colleges. So those schools apply directly to Federal Highway to administer the program on their respective campuses. And the award range is anywhere from $1,500 to $10K. So for a school that is issued a notice to proceed, they then, instead of Federal Highway going out and doing the applications online, the campus program manager at that school will make an announcement. And I know it's done several different ways. There are flyers posted, it's posted online, however it is, so that students can apply. And then that campus, convenes a panel goes through the evaluation process, and then gives us their recommendations, and then we assign the fellowship amounts. And again, the range is anywhere from $1,500 to $10,000 for a year based on the way the panel evaluates you. And then our last one, and I'll try to speed it up, is our Grants for Research Fellowship. And really the purpose of this one is to acquaint students with transportation research development activities at USDOT. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of our program offices will come up with a research topic. What's hot now is connected and automated vehicles. We just brought on 2 GRUV fellows around that topic. So they'll come up with, this is what we want. These are the deliverables, whether it's a literature review, a technical paper, whatever it is. We post it to grants.gov. They tell us what majors they want, and they also tell us, you know, the level of education. You know, I want a PhD student that's majoring in civil engineering, or I want a master's student that's majoring in urban planning. So all of that criteria will be on grants.gov. And if you meet that criteria, you apply. We pass the applications on to the program office. The program office evaluates, and they come back to us and say, these are, or this is the student that we selected. And then the award can range anywhere from $15,000 to $60,000. For a year. And the only reason I put the time frame up here for this one is because for our other DDE-TFP categories, the period of performance is 12 months. And we typically say we try to award based on the school year, right? So fall semester starts in September through the summer semester, which is August 31. The difference with this program, because it's sort of managed by our program offices, it can be anywhere from 3 to 12 months. I would say on average, though, we bring on GRUV fellows for 6 months. 6 to 12 months. I talked a lot about transportation related disciplines. So this slide here just shows you any of the majors that you can be majoring in to qualify for the DDE-TFP. I think we have really, covered everything, but if by chance you don't see your major here, you can reach out to us if you feel like there is a nexus between your major and transportation. You don't see it here on a case-by-case basis. We can approve those so that you are eligible to apply if you make a good argument. One thing I didn't say, so as a part of the fellowship, you will receive, and your fellowship funds can be used from anywhere from tuition and fees, stipend, but the one thing that you have to do is attend the Transportation Research Board meeting in Washington, D.C. And we have our own DDE-TFP research showcase at the meeting. And so this highlights all of the great research that the students are doing. We host a lectern session in which we select students to actually present their work via PowerPoint, and other, their fellows, can ask them questions or provide any input on their research, which is great. We had a great session this year. So you'll see that picture, kind of that middle picture up top is our lectern session from this past January 2023 meeting. We also, which is so great with our partnership with TRB, in the past we would select 20 students per session to present during a poster session. And in partnership with TRB, they offered us unlimited poster sessions this year. And although we got our approval super late, we were able to offer poster sessions to all of the students that, wanted to. And I think it's such a great opportunity because you're able to, one, get that experience presenting, two, you get, feedback on your research, and three, even some people can get jobs. So I think that's an awesome opportunity. And then the last picture is our closing ceremony, which we wrap on Tuesday at TRB. And we have typically the executive director of TRB speaking, the executive director at Federal Highway, or the administrator, speaking to the fellows, and former, DD-TFP alum, fellows are there, and you can sort of network and who knows, walk away with a job. So. And then also, when you're not attending the DDE-TFP required activities, it'll be great for students to actually get involved in the committees, be a friend of a committee. And we're working closely with TRB to figure out how to better sort of partnering and get the students involved throughout the year, and instead of just in January, because they're requesting students to present at these mid-year meetings. And so we're working to do that, and we hope to do more with that in future DDE-TFP cycles. So again, period of performance is 1 year, fall semester to summer semester, so September 1 to August 31. The required deliverable from the student, though, as a result of this fellowship, is we ask for your final research report. We don't have a template for that. For some of our master students, they just give us their thesis or, dissertation or just your summary report. But we do ask for a report around the research that you've done in transportation. And so I have the website to the DDE TFP page if you want to just look for more information. And we also have an inbox that we monitor that we can address any questions. I have business cards, so I can give those to you, which also has the website on there. All right, thank you so much.